Hi guys, in my consultations, I talk to many intelligent people with high IQs. They are often frustrated because they are super successful in their job and other areas of life but fail to lose weight although they know what a healthy diet should look like. They feel like a failure because they assume something is wrong with them. Some naturally thin people assume they just have more willpower than overweight people. It gives them a reason to judge others. The good news is that they're totally wrong about their assumption. They didn't own their thinness. In this video, I'll explain the different dynamics that take place here and why you have a hard time losing weight and keeping it up for good although you're equipped with a high IQ. Here is the first dynamic. Somewhere in your ancestral lineage were people that were super susceptible to rich foods. Therefore, they gained weight easily. However, they were not overweight because people only had access to whole, natural, unprocessed foods. They were more bulky and strong in their physical structure, but not overweight or obese. The problem is the modern world's food supply. We have access to highly processed foods all the time, and because your nervous system aims to survive and reproduce, it's always the best idea to seek the highest calorie-dense foods, no matter how high your IQ is. Naturally thin people just have more sensitive stretch and nutrient receptors in their stomach that signal to the brain fullness. Therefore, they feel more satiated with a smaller portion of food than you do. However, this was a disadvantage in the times of our ancestors. For this reason, you will find more people today who need to lose weight than vice versa. The diet industry is booming because of that. Your mind always makes a cost-benefit analysis for the next best option to survive. It runs trillions of decisions seconds before you know what you'll do the next seconds. In one study, participants were asked which artwork they liked best. In the brain scan, the researchers found their favorite picture 10 seconds before the participants decided which image to choose. The adaptive unconscious already decided before the participants knew what they chose, so your mind already decided to have the pizza before you even know. We always try to find the next best reason why we can't stick to healthy eating and lose weight for good. Pop psychology tells us it's because of childhood issues, boredom, or coping mechanism problems, etc., without any proof that these claims are true. But we love to hear such claims, and high IQ people as well, because it gives us status and a reason for failing. They totally neglect the effect of human biology and our genes. It took hundreds of thousands of years for our brain to evolve, and we think some pop psychology explanation gives us the reason. But tell me one successful person that got to healthy weight by saying my parents are the reason for why I eat junk food and can't lose weight. Do yourself a favor and stop blaming others for your weight or your so-called missed willpower and wrongness. None of that is the reason for the overweight dilemma nowadays. To quote Dr. McDougall, it's the food. Furthermore, you have an individual set of personality characteristics you were born with. For example, according to the Big 5 personality test, you're a highly open, extroverted, and agreeable person. Sorry to say, but that's a recipe for indulging in the pleasure trap more often than you'd like. In another area, for example, your career, this is amazing. People love you, they like to be surrounded by you. In the time of our ancestors, you were a highly valued member of the village. Remember, there is no good or bad personality. The only question is how it interacts with the environment. The personality trait I described has more difficulties dealing with modern food than, for example, a highly disagreeable, introverted, less open personality. So this type of person has an easier time sticking to healthy eating and therefore maintaining a healthy body weight because by nature their mind computes a different cost-benefit analysis than the other described personality. So a high IQ is not a guarantee of success in weight loss, even if you find correlations. People with a lower IQ than you might be more successful in this area because of a different set of genes and personality traits. Their adaptive unconscious also might run a different cost-benefit analysis than yours. Overall, the main problem is the food. It's not who you are or your IQ. The second problem is not per se your genes, mind, adaptive unconscious, and personality, but how they interact with the modern environment, in this case, the unnatural, highly processed food. All these dynamics act like a symbiosis. So without the modern food supply, you would be at a healthy weight despite your IQ. But poor you, now you have your high IQ and can't succeed. But how do you succeed as a high IQ person in the modern world food supply, you might ask? by getting new information like this, by understanding how the mind operates, by doing experiments, by making mistakes, because only by making mistakes you learn to get better at something, by learning more about your personality, and by managing as best as you can your food environment. All these factors give our brain data to shift your cost-benefit analysis. Be patient. This happens over time. If necessary, re-listen or rewatch some of Dr. Lai's lectures or some of mine on healthy eating. Give your mind new data in order for your adaptive unconscious to make decisions in your best interest. Furthermore, some tactics and strategies help to overdrive our desire for rich food. For example, if we crave junk food right now, we can delay that decision for later by having something healthy first. And if we still want that slice of pizza, we can have it later. This is different than saying, I'll never have it again. Help your mind to calm down, because if you don't have that rich food right now, it causes your brain to send anxiety because it assumes it will not survive without it. Remember that, but by having something healthy first, it could be some of your favorite healthy dishes. Your mind gets glucose, which signals that it will survive. You see, that's just one of many tactics on how we can succeed on a healthy diet. I'm not an overnight success. It took me years to get good at healthy eating. It took me time to learn how to do proper meal prepping. Stay away from the pleasure trap, learn about my triggers, say no to others without feeling guilty, and everything that involves healthy eating. My job is to help you save some detours. However, I can't take all of them off your hands because your mind needs a certain number of mistakes and setbacks to improve in the future. Start learning to love making mistakes in a certain way because they help you get better at something. In this case, losing weight and eating healthy for good. The worst thing you can do is to apply perfectionism. This is unachievable, and for this reason, a good reason for your mind to procrastinate, because that's how you maintain the status you already have. This is a survival instinct by your brain. It is more profitable for your mind to maintain the status you already have by not starting to eat healthy than to lose it possibly. People then start eating junk food for weeks after a failed attempt at healthy eating instead of continuing with healthy eating as usual the next day. This is a classic example of the ego trap. Therefore, we need to set reasonable goals that motivate us, not vice versa. So I'm not surprised if people reach out to me after a period of great success with healthy eating that they indulge in healthy foods again. It's you against your instincts when trying to avoid unhealthy foods. Every adaptive unconscious runs a different operating system, no matter how high your IQs. Eating is something driven by our homeostasis and not by rational thinking alone. Dr. Lai has a great example of the modern food supply. Imagine you're trying to learn to ride a bicycle, and every time you fall, you have an orgasm. Doing the wrong thing feels amazing. Trying to beat the pleasure trap, aka staying away from modern processed foods, and instead of choosing the healthy ones, you're trying to learn to ride the bicycle without having an orgasm. Everyone around you has an orgasm, so why should you specifically learn to ride the bicycle properly and then not having an orgasm like everybody else around you? It doesn't make sense for your survival part of the brain where hunger takes place. You go against your instincts by doing so. Instincts are very heart-driven. However, new data and new information are able to beat your genes. Your nervous system will always like highly pleasurable foods. You can't learn not to like them, but you can learn to stay away from those triggers. So don't try to change your personality, your genes, or your weight heritability, which is, by the way, 80% heritable. Instead, change your perspective, become good at healthy eating, and stay away from the pleasure trap. Give it time as long as it needs to take. I promise you that it will become easier over time. By succeeding often, your mind changes the cost-benefit analysis, and healthy eating will become like second nature for you. But still, for some, easier and faster than for others because of all the dynamics I mentioned. But this doesn't mean it will never happen for you. And in my opinion, these are good news. There are always people that are richer, prettier, and more intelligent than you. But the good thing is that it doesn't matter. What only matters is that you do the best possible with a set of reasonable and achievable goals, and you'll feel great without being the greatest person on the planet. You'll get a lot of esteem from your internal audience, those voices in your head that give feedback if you're doing a great or lousy job. That's a fair game and a beautiful process of our mind. Remember that what I explained to you in this video is very simplified and shortened, but it's enough information to help you go in the right direction. So use your beautiful and intelligent high IQ mind to digest this information and build a completely different strategy around healthy eating and your weight than you did in the past. It's not a shame to fall or fail. It's a shame if you stay there because of false assumptions about yourself and not scientifically proven pop psychology approaches. So I hope that helped and have a great day. Bye bye.